Well, welcome back to the podcast, my friends. If you are someone who is looking for a job that pays 130, 150, 180, 200K, and you're stuck, this episode is for you. So, if you're someone who has the experience, if you have big names on your resume and you're job searching right now and you're thinking, what in the world? I know I'm good. Why is this not clicking? Why is this not working? You're going to love this episode. So, if your resume is strong, if your background is impressive, but something is not working, here's what I want for you to hear. And it's that what you're experiencing is actually quite common. And that's because you're targeting these 150K, 200K jobs with a 70K job search strategy. And in this episode, we're going to unpack exactly what that means, what you're doing wrong, and exactly what you need to shift to see real traction quickly. Now, if all of this resonates with you, my friends, I also want to tell you something very, very special and exciting that I haven't done in a long time. For the first time in a year and a half, I'm going to do a live masterclass. Now, this time is different. We're going to keep it small. We really want to give you an opportunity to get direct feedback from me, to get coached by me right there on the call, on the live call. So, for the first time in a year and a half, I'm going live for the masterclass on May 28th from Unstuck to Dream Six Figure Offers. So, in this masterclass, we'll dive into exactly where you're getting stuck. So, you'll be able to self diagnose what's not working for you right now on your way to this 150 to 100K job, exactly where you're getting stuck and what you need to shift. So you'll walk away with this assessment knowing, okay, these are my areas of opportunity, because what we see often is you guys are stuck, but you're not sure how to get unstuck. You're not sure what exactly is not working for you. And I want for you to be crystal clear. Here's what I need to shift moving forward. And this is how I'm going to see traction. So in the show notes down below, we'll include the link for you to apply for the masterclass. That's right, it's application only, because once again, we want to keep it small. We want to make sure that it is the right community of people who come together, people who actually want to take action, want to learn, are really excited about this next level and are ready to change and try new strategies, and again are open to being coached. So if that's you, make sure you submit your application. We just opened it up yesterday, I believe, from when I'm recording this, and we wanted to keep the masterclass with under 50 people, and we already got 150 applications in just a day. So make sure you submit your application. Make sure you claim your spot, and when you are submitting the application, be specific. Get into the details, because we really want to make sure that it is a mutual fit and we get into the nitty gritty and we get to actually coach you on this live masterclass. So once again, it's May 28th from Stuck to Dream Six Figure Offers. Diagnose where you're getting stuck. All right, friends, with that, let's dive into the episode. So, first, I want to start with this idea that at your level of seniority, being qualified is not enough. Here's what I mean by that. I bet you, again, look at your resume, you look at your experience, you know you're good, then you look at jobs that are posted online and you're thinking, well, this is a great fit. I can totally do this job. And then you apply for this director level role and you get a rejection pretty quickly. And this happens over and over again. And you're now wondering, maybe I'm not as good as I thought. What is going on? I have these big brands. Why is this not working the way it has worked for me in my career in the past? So let's talk about this. The more senior that you are in your career, the less roles there are at that level, right? So for the employer, and you always need to think about what does this look like from the employer's perspective. For the employer, at that level, the more senior that you are, the less people can do that job compared to, let's say, when you are 23 and you're going for, let's say, a coordinator level role. There are thousands of people who can easily do this job really, really well. Now, if you're going for senior manager, director, VP role, we have C-level executives in the Start Canada program. At that level, there are very few of those jobs. So now the employer has to be very selective because the job is very specific. So they're looking for the right person here. At the same time, once again, from the employer's perspective, the cost of them making a mistake at that level is a lot higher than when you're paid $70K a year. So let's say you get hired and you're paid $200K and it's not a good fit. Just think about the risk from the employer's perspective, how much time and money they invest only to realize this is not a good fit. So once again, the more senior that you are, the less roles are available, and the more selective employer has to be, and the less people there are who are actually potentially a good fit for this role. So what does that mean for the employer? Well, chances that they will post this VP level role or director level role online, and within the next 2 weeks, the right person sees it, applies for it, and that person is available right now, the chances of that are actually pretty small. And the employer knows that. So at that level, the more senior that you are, the more employer is going to rely on people who they already know. So people who come recommended, people who have worked with other people on the team already, or who have met other people on the team and people on the team can vouch for, can advocate for. Because again, the cost of them hiring the wrong person is really high. So they want someone who is recommended. So that's what they always start with. Then they start asking around, okay, well, we don't immediately know someone, but who do you know? Is there someone who comes to mind and they're thinking about it as a leadership team? They are talking about it as that specific team, let's say marketing or sales. They are talking about this because once again, they want to make it easier for them. And they know that it's really hard to find this person at this level. So they're not starting their search with, well, let's post it and let's see who comes up. No, they start with who do we know already? Then, because once again, they know there are not a lot of people who would be a good fit, and the chances that they are looking and available right now are pretty small. So they say, okay, instead of just posting and waiting and praying that this right person comes up, let's proactively headhunt. So that's why you do sometimes get messages from a recruiter, oftentimes when you're not looking, for pretty much the exact same job that you're doing already, because that's how a headhunter is thinking. When they are proactively looking for candidates, ideally they want someone who's done this role already. So that is why when you are, even if you are a perfect fit, when you are just applying for that role online, chances are they already have a good candidate or multiple candidates. And that's why it's so frustrating for you, because you're not getting any traction, even if you are very well qualified for the role. It's because that's not where they're focused. It's actually the last place where they look at. Now, let's look at a scenario where you are looking to make a bit of a pivot. So maybe you want a slightly different function, slightly different, or a completely different industry. So you're thinking, okay, well, I have been this marketing senior manager, director for my entire life, for a very long time. So I've done this in the CPG space. I can move into healthcare. I have the skills. I have all the transferable skills. But once again, the way a recruiter is thinking when you are applying, a recruiter is trained. You might have heard me talk about this. A recruiter is looking for the safest, easiest hire. And that is once again someone who's done this job already with a direct competitor. So when you are going for any sort of change, it's just not how the recruiter is thinking. So whether you're fully qualified and you're applying online, whether you're looking for a change, applying online at your level when you are going for those 150 to 100K roles is just kind of a waste of time. Yet, I bet this is where you're looking, this is where you spend your time every single day, and then you're spiraling. What in the world is happening? This is not giving me any progress whatsoever. So mistake number one that I'm seeing here is that when you start your job search, you're so excited, then you start applying, then you're not getting any traction, so you start applying harder. And that's the mistake that I see so many professionals at this senior manager, director, VP level make, is applying harder. Versus what you need to do is to network smarter and actually get in front of the decision makers who are sitting there thinking, well, where do we find this person? I don't want to just post this job online and hope this person appears. Maybe I don't know anyone yet. So where do we find this person? So you need to be that person who gets in front of the decision makers. Now, what I hear here often is that, Anna, I've tried it. I've been networking. I have a network and I've been talking to people, and either they tell me, well, I've been talking to people and nothing happens. And by the way, just having a good conversation and being good at those conversations is not the same as strategic networking, because you're not converting. You're not converting that conversation into anything else, into introductions and referrals. And you have to be asking for that specifically and strategically. And there is oftentimes here, people ask me for a template or a script. And realistically, it's a lot more nuanced than that. I've talked about this on the podcast before. This is what I did for a living. This is what I was paid 6 figures to do, is to find those hiring managers, get in front of them, book a meeting with them, and then strategically through that conversation, get them to hire from me. So I've done that hundreds and hundreds of times, but it's not just the one template that you need. It's a skill really that you need to build here. Now, so it's when you are thinking, okay, well, I have these great conversations, but nothing happens. It's because a conversation does not equal strategic networking. Now, another option that I hear here often is, well, okay, well, I am actually getting referrals, but nothing happens. And when I ask for more information here, what I always hear every single time is this: well, yeah, this person gave me a link and I used it to apply, and then nothing happened. I still got rejected. Well, my friends, a link is not the same as actually having people advocate for you, right? Because giving you a link is easy. It's a step better than you just submitting an application online, but it's not the same as someone in the room advocating for you to, hey, you should meet Georgina. You should meet her for an interview. You should really talk to her. She is amazing. And then once you're interviewing, someone who is keeping you in the loop of what's going on, who else they're interviewing, and how you stack against everyone else, someone who is going to review your either case study that you have to work on as part of the process, or within the Start Canada program, we also build your impact preview deck for the interview. We build your career portfolio. So someone who is going to review that for you internally and help you elevate it. So again, you are coming across as that perfect solution. And someone who is going to give you all that internal intel so that, again, you know how to position yourself as a solution, because you are very clear on what their challenges are and what their opportunities are. I've talked about it from my own experience. I networked really hard within consulting and within my Deloitte interview. Pretty much the way I got the interview was because I have an advocate internally who went to the hiring manager and said, hey, whoever you're interviewing, you have to meet with Anna. And then who was telling me, hey, this is the person you're going to meet for this interview. This is what to be prepared for. This is the type of setup that's going to happen. Okay. And then after the interview, we would debrief together and talk about, okay, this is what happened. This is the feedback. This is how you stack against other people. The value in that is really hard to describe. And see how that's different from just having a link. Now, my clients are experiencing the same. And it's so funny to me how when they experience it for the first time, she's in the Start Canada program right now. And she was posting in our brand new community that we just moved into a couple of weeks ago. She was posting her win recently and sharing, hey, I have this interview with a big tech company and someone is helping me through this process. Someone is really advocating for me. This is incredible. So it's always funny to me how you guys are surprised that that happens. But it's not surprising to me because you have been putting in the work, strategic work. So that's what, friends, happens behind the scenes without you realizing. So if people are doing that, if people are building connections and advocates, of course, they're getting interviews before you, before you get an interview. And you have to get on that too. All right, now let's talk about mistake number 2. And that is thinking like that 70K employee that you once were, not a strategic 150K, 200K hire. Here is what I mean by that. And it really, I see this trickle all throughout your different stages of job search. So an employee, a 70K employee, applies for a job and goes about their day thinking, okay, well, I hope I've applied for a few jobs. So let's see where this journey takes me. Let's see what happens. I hope I get an interview. What? Is that what a strategic director who is making 150K and who is paid that much, is that what a strategic director would think and act like? Absolutely not. A strategic hire goes about thinking, okay, I want to take this project to this level. What do I need to do? Not let's see where the journey takes me, but let's see what needs to happen for me to get there. What are the steps? Okay, I've tried applying online for a month. That doesn't work. What else? What do I need to change? That's data points for me that's not working. What do I need to change to still hit my goal? That's the strategic hire. A strategic hire is someone who is thinking, all right, here are the 5 companies that I'm targeting. Who do I need to know on the inside? And what do I need to do? What do they need to know about me for them to want me? For us to see that strategic alliance and for us to want to work together. I'll give you another example. On the coaching call today within the Start Canada program, one of our clients had this interview for a director level role with the largest retailer, food retailer here in Canada. And she said, okay, for the first time, it finally clicked for me that it's not about all the amazing things that I've done and all the skills that I have, but it's about what they need and connecting the dots for them and really going and preparing for the interview that way, which is what we teach with the interview alignment plan, but thinking about what do they care about and how do, with everything that I say, I bring it back to one of the things that they care about. Not just everything that I have done and how amazing I am, but what do they care about? And here, again, think about you being in that strategic role. That's what you're going to be doing for executives, right? You're going to be updating them and telling them about what they care about, not what you care about, not all the things that you're working on. So it is very much a mindset shift with, okay, what would the strategic hire do? How would they think? How would they act? But it's also very much a skill to position yourself as that strategic hire, because when you are just rambling on, for example, in your interview or in your networking meeting, the employer immediately sees you as that 70K hire, not as a strategic hire. So this is actually something we talked about in coaching. Are you acting as the strategic hire, as the CEO of your own career? Or are you someone who is waiting to be picked, who is applying and just waiting for something to happen? That's a big one, my friends. And this actually brings me to mistake number 3, and that is being good at your job is not the same as being good at actually getting that job. Because most people, and even people that we work with who come into the Start Canada program, are really good at their job. They're great executors, but they're not great marketers. Oftentimes, they actually tell me, I hate interviewing. I hate advocating for myself. I hate. And again, these are not my words. These are your words. People who listen to this podcast, people who we talk to, myself and my team, and people who come into the program. That's what they tell us. And sometimes it's shocking to me that at that very senior director level role, someone we were talking to just the other day, she's at 180K in New York City plus bonus, big retailer, fashion, like she's killing it. Yet she tells us, I hate interviewing, I hate advocating for myself. What? Friends, I know you got to this level. A lot of you have been maybe within the same industry or the same company for a long time. So you maybe didn't feel like you needed this. Marketing yourself and selling yourself. Maybe you didn't feel like you need this. But at this point of your career, at this point of your seniority, this is a liability. Not having the networking skills, not having, again, branding, positioning skills, advocating, that's a liability. Because who is going to do this for you? You're great at your job, but what about actually selling what you do and to be seen, again, as that senior hire? Those are two different set of skills, and you have to learn how to market yourself, whether it's for, again, your job search experience, but it very much trickles into how you act in your role. So being good at your job is not the same as being good at landing that job. And finally, the final thought that I want to leave you with is that at this level, you can't afford to think short term. You can't afford to just think, oh, just this interview, just this job, I just need to figure this out quickly. You can't afford to do that. You're a strategic senior hire. You have to think strategically. You have to think long term. So something we work on with my clients is, okay, every single conversation that you have, networking, interviews, is your career ecosystem. It's not just this one conversation or opportunity. It's you opening that door for anything in the future. So, okay, well, this opportunity didn't work out. That's okay. Let's still meet with the hiring manager. Let's still meet with someone who was more senior you were supposed to meet and maybe didn't get to meet. Let's still have that conversation so that you know what their priorities are, what their challenges are for the next 6 months, 12 months, so that there is that opportunity for you to still work together in the future, whether it's 12 months from now or 3 years from now. So you have to think strategically and long term and really focus on humans and relationships rather than, oh, there's a job alert, I have to drop everything and apply for it. You see the difference here? I'm really hoping that once you've kind of been sitting on these mistakes that we've talked about today, you're feeling the difference. You're feeling the difference between 70K mindset and strategy and approach and 150K proactive, strategic, next level hire who also knows how to sell and how to market. All right, friends, that is it for today. Once again, if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, okay, well, my strategy definitely does not match the seniority of roles that I'm targeting, make sure that you join us for the masterclass live on May 28th from Stuck to Dream Six-Figure Offers. Once again, will really help you diagnose exactly which part of the process you need to work on, exactly where you're getting stuck. So you walk away really knowing, all right, this is my area of opportunity, and this is why I haven't been seeing a lot of traction. Once again, we'll link the application in the show notes, and I can't wait to see you there. Bye for now.